Is still very much a part of their daily lives. Ever since that storm hit, St. Paul's United Methodist Church in Bayhead, New Jersey, has been serving meals to hundreds of people every day. For those whose homes have been damaged or destroyed, the comfort provided by that church, well, how can you put it? It's been a real blessing.
It was freezing out, and they just had a couple water bottles and some coffee set up. Then we came in the next day, and they had like a buffet of like penne vodka and baked ziti, and it was like, wow, it was really amazing. And then like my mom started tearing up, and I was like, this is amazing that they actually opened this church up to everyone.
It wasn't just having food and everything, and it was, you know, having other people around you after the storm and realizing that, you know, everyone's going through the same thing.
Pastor Scott Bostwick knows the power of Sandy firsthand. He was displaced by his own home by the storm. And Pastor, thanks very much for being with us, first of all. And you know, this is a really big commitment. So tell us what you're doing and how did it all come together?
Well, it's great, and thank you for the opportunity to be here. This is part of the blessing, to be able to share the story of what had happened during the hurricane and for the survivors. And basically what had happened was the day after the hurricane, as soon as we were able to get back into the town, back into Bayhead, my wife Karen and I drove into town first to take a look at our house. And the first floor of the house had been washed out completely, and we took a quick assessment of the damage there. But right after that, we needed to go around the corner and to check out the church and to see the condition of the facilities there. And as we got around, I mean, it was just amazing because the water had literally come to within an inch of entering into the building. It had a very large crawl space underneath, but no water entered the building. And as soon as we got there, we knew that we had to do something because people were walking around the streets and in the neighborhood. They were in shock. They were in disbelief. They weren't sure what to do next. And we were posting on Facebook different pictures and different things that had happened. And by that afternoon, a friend of mine had gotten back to me on Facebook and called me and said, listen, Scott, I have a generator. Could you use that for anything? Mm-hmm. And I said, sure, bring it on up.
And so that's how it began, and it certainly has continued. And, you know, we've said it's brought so much comfort to so many people. How many members of the congregation are taking part?
Probably just a handful of the congregation. We've got about 200 members in the congregation, and for the folks, especially in the beginning, who could get into town, the area was secured by the National Guard, and so we had a combination of persons from the congregation as well as persons from the community and people from the surrounding towns.
So these were just strangers, just people who felt that they needed and could offer a hand to help as well.
And it's amazing because I tell everyone, on any given day, I can walk through the church and meals are being served, people are cleaning tables and stocking things on the shelves, and I'd have no idea who any of them are. Yet everybody's chipping in.
Sorry. Has this changed your church? Has it changed you going through this?
Oh, it certainly has. The face of the church and our relationship with the community has certainly changed. We're now really a community center in the middle of Bayhead. We're a place where people from whatever church affiliation they may have had or no church affiliation, folks who were just looking for a place of sanctuary, a place of comfort, would come and they'd share the stories of what had happened to them, their homes, find resources from FEMA or county agencies, and really just find a place where they can sit and talk and to feel comfortable and safe.
Yeah, having been through many of these natural disasters, covering them, I realize how these community centers are so vital to people's mental well-being. Let me ask you this. Congress has approved some aid for communities that were hit by Sandy and is considering more, maybe a lot more. What are the biggest needs you see?
Some of the biggest needs I see in the community is perhaps more coordination of efforts to match folks who perhaps have fallen through the cracks, some of the elderly or some of the folks who are trying to work on the homes themselves, and match them with resources or volunteer groups that could come in and help them with either demolition or reconstruction. Some of the supplies that we've been receiving through agencies such as the Red Cross or UMCOR, the United Methodist Committee on Relief, or other areas are being passed through. But a lot of the island is still like a war zone. There are parts that are just opening up this week. There are parts where folks have not seen their homes, and there are places where folks just have no home to go back to. There's nothing there but sand where once stood their house and their home and everything they owned. Mm-hmm. And but so at least, with this package... Okay, I'm sorry.
No, I was just going to say, as a result of this, they have faith, and they also have friends, clearly, as your congregation is providing much-needed food and comfort at this very
Indeed.
tough time.
And folks are recognizing that, you know, where perhaps they had not had faith and they're just kind of folks in the community, they realize that God is doing something and that God has provided this safe place for them. And the attendance at worship has increased by about 40% each week. And folks who are helping at the church, it's just amazing. And they're just giving thanks for what they have, and priorities are realigned. We're not so dependent upon things anymore, but we know that it's people that really count and people that matter. And God has certainly blessed us in that way.
You're right. Makes a big change in your lives. Pastor Scott Bostwick,
Yes.
Thank you very much, and to your congregation and all of those strangers who are helping so many others there.
Thank you.
You can see more stories about faith on our